down, coming out of PE town. One drink, find a shot, never mind your liver, get to Gino's spot.
Gino's spot.
Get to Gino's spot.
Gino's spot.
Have a laugh, have a giggle, and exercise your middle. Have a Gino shot.
Gino's shot.
Get to Gino's spot.
Gino's spot.
Get to Gino's spot.
Gino's spot.
Have a laugh, have a giggle, and exercise your middle. Get to Gino's spot.
Gino's spot.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Center Stage.
And indeed, welcome to Gino's Spot tonight, coming to you live from St. Francis Bay. It's actually quite cool. We've got a little temporary studio set up here, and it's been a love because it's school holidays, you know, so we can get out here. We get a bit of a surf. It's a nice surf today. What a joy! And also, thank you to our sponsors from Fitch and Leeds, and of course Amobia for our internet, who are always there for us. And then and then Grace from Fat Cats, who usually brings us food, but I'm not going to make her bring food all the way out to St. Francis today. So welcome, and I hope a lot of you are nice and cush at home. It's been the weather has been a bit hectic, although today was a little bit better. When we speak to our weatherman, our Garth Samson, and see what's happening with the dams and stuff, it looks like everything's hunky dory over there, which is great for a change. You know, we've got to be thankful for the times when things are going okay. Right, tonight we've got Andrew Buckland online all the way from Knysna. I don't know what he's doing there in Knysna. We'll have to find out what has been happening there in Knysna. It's been 30 years since I've seen the man, so I'm actually very much looking forward to chatting. He's an absolute legend of South African theatre and of course the Grahamstown Festival, as well as a Rhodes University lecturer for a million years. We'll find out all about it. And also, what I must tell you next week as well, we've got next week we have the it's called Major Race. He's the supporters guy for the Springboks, and we're going to have him online. He's got an amazing following as well, so we're going to stick in a little bit of a video for him a little bit later as well. We'll sort that out too. Without any further ado, I think we can go straight into our guest, Mr. Andrew Buckland. Let's give him a little intro.
Ooh, welcome to the show. Now is your time to shine. We're gonna have a lekker chat tonight. Another good time.
And ta-da, we have you, Andrew Buckland. Welcome online. Welcome online.
Thank you. That was, I thought there was going to be a whole lot of other stuff, and then suddenly there we were.
No, we're in. We're in and going. We don't waste time around here, especially while we're on holiday, you know.
You got no time to waste.
Oh, are you? You're in Knysna at the moment, Andrew?
You know, yes, I am. Since less than a year ago. Before that, we were living in Grahamstown for about 30 years, and then recently have moved to Knysna. So, you know, obviously it takes a while to... Got a bit of what? So it takes a while to settle in and work out what it's like to be here. So we're in the process of doing that now.
Okay, that's and because I think it's from the move from Grahamstown obviously was you've been there at Rhodes for like, I don't know, as long as I can remember, I think.
Yeah. So I was teaching there for about 25 years, and then we stayed on there for a while. But we were kind of living in Grahamstown. We were engaging with the other different communities. Janet was still teaching. She was running a Pilates studio and running a company from there. But then, you know, I missed performing a lot. So the retirement was really to try and find a way to for me to get back into performance.
Yeah.
Things also, I've got to be, I don't want to bring anything down, but, after
Yeah.
2019, we lost our boy, we lost our firstborn. So that
Yes.
changed our lives radically. Everything
Yeah,
shut
yeah.
down. We went into very shutdown mode.
Okay.
So that's changed our way of doing everything. So moving to Neisner has been really part of that shift. But it really hasn't changed my enthusiasm for being able to try and find stages and find access to be able to do the things that make me who I am. So I'm very lucky to be able to still do that.
Yeah, because I know you got two boys, huh?
Three boys, yeah.
Yeah. Three, three, three boys. Okay, and
Three boys.
because I know the one's also acting as well, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. So Daniel is working. Luke and Daniel, both of them are in Joburg, but Daniel at the moment is in Grahamstown at the festival there with a show called Afro Apocalypse, which is I can't wait. I haven't seen it. He's so angry with me that but anyway. But he's doing very well. And my other boy Luke is at the moment in Europe with his partner and his child. His partner was part of a Giovanni Fuscetti clown workshop in Italy. She did that.
Wow.
And so, it's an amazing course that they did there. And then Luke and Zeke, my grandson, went over to join them, and now they're doing a little tour of Europe. So they spread all over the place.
Okay. It's incredible that the kids get it. The genes are in there. The genes are happening.
If they take my genes, Barry, I'm going to be so pissed off because if I don't have a pair of genes,
No, they always take your clothes. The kids always take a bloody clothes. It's the problem.
Used to be.
I know. Now, there's a story. There's a story, Andrew, that I need to. I'm just seeing my the internet is a bit rough out here in St. Francis. You still there, Andrew?
I'm here. Clear. I'm listening to you. You've got a story from
Okay.
then I was waiting.
Yeah, I am going a bit thing. I think Philip we downloaded a video to put on you, and I think it's taking up bandwidth, but that's fine. Well, I wanted to find out from you, Andrew, that there was a moment we did Unplugged together, like literally 30.
Yeah.
I think it was 30 years ago. Do you remember the year that it was?
I don't. I try not to remember anything beyond like 2 years ago. Just the soup of the past.
Absolutely. And you know what I remember that we had to go. You were on stage and then I'd come out because I was playing with Anton Karlitz, and you'd go on and then I'd come back again like this. We'd go and yes. You'll have to tell me if it was you because I'm pretty sure it was. But I set up. If you remember it, I set up a little, like a jacket there was a ball backstage, like I don't know, it was like a basketball or something. And I made a little head and I put the things like a jacket, so a little bit like a guy. So when you walked around the corner, you'd get a bit of a fright, And and so when we swapped over again, and then you were obviously busy backstage, and I came back again. That guy was like an entire guy, man. He was hanging from the coat hangers with a ball and face and a flip, and he became like a masterpiece.
Yeah. I would love to claim credit for that, but I have to tell you, I had nothing to do with it. You can be quite sure that if I would come off stage, I was only concerned with what the hell I was going to do when I was going to the face on, sure, that must be someone else going. Unless,
there we go.
71, your brain
it could be. Because we've done it a few times, I think, by then. So I think you were into it already. But I see Unplugged 1994.
Yeah, that's
That was it. Can you believe
good-
it's 90? I got married in 94. It's 31 years. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And,
My wife and I are just about to celebrate our 50th anniversary here in July.
50th. Wow.
How's that?
Andrew, so well, that's amazing. Let's go hook back into history. I mean,
Yes.
you were Zimbo, hey?
Exactly so. In fact, I have to admit, I was a Rhodesian,
Oh, Rhodesia, yes.
Yes, I was a Rhodesian. When I grew up in that time, during the 50s and 60s, in fact, when I left school, the only reason I went to university was to get out of conscription. And so I went to university not knowing what the fuck I was going to do. And my father was an accountant. So I thought, well, God, let me try and be an accountant. I tried that. It was only 3 months. It was very clear that was not my strength. So luckily enough, I had friends who were doing physical education, so I changed to that.
Yeah.
But then only in my second year, purely out of mistake, well, not mistake, I don't know, respect, but I had to get out of a date with somebody that I felt I couldn't deal with. I said, I'll go to that audition. And in that audition, I got a laugh. And I thought, oh, holy shit, this is what I can do. Because as a schoolboy, the only way I could get in with the in crowd or get approval or become one of the guys was to be the joker, the guy who told the lekker story or made people laugh or whatever. And I never thought about it as a way of being. Suddenly gave me a way of that your whole life could be like that. So my life radically changed, Yeah. So I was very fortunate to find that.
And was that in those days? That was vast. It was pretty much varsity then, hey?
Yeah. Like in my second year, yeah.
Well, it was packed back then, wasn't it? It was K-Pab and.
Okay, so then once I'd graduated, and then I'd been teaching for a couple of years, because by then Janet and I had met in like first year. So then we were married like 3 months later. So it was a very short time between we were together. We had 2 kids. And then she'd finished her studies, and then I've got a contract at Pact up in Joburg. So we went to Joburg. By then we had three boys, and I got a contract to work in that like state sponsored fucker. Which was an amazing training ground for an actor in a certain way. But it was after 3 years I said, no, I can't do this anymore. So I went freelance, So then we were in Joburg after that for another 10 or so years.
She was
make sense of what.
And this is, I mean, this what years are we talking about here? 70? You said.
80, 81, I was teaching at Rhodes. So 82, we went to Joburg. And then 82 until about 92, 93, we came back to Joburg.
And that was, and then the festival stuff would have started already then.
The festival started in like 76, 75, 76 when we were students. And then in 77, when I came back from the army, I was conscripted for a year in the Rhodesian army in 76. And then in 77, I came back, and then the festival was already going. So then from that year, every year, I would be back there at the festival. So by the time the 80s and 90s came, we built up such a culture and an audience in that thing. It was seminal in the way that I was able to create work, make work that was financially viable, and also just develop a kind of a culture of conversation with the audience, and the development of a kind of stylistic idea that happened during that time. It was a major part of my life.
What did I mean? Your style is also it's not the standard sort of thing, you know. It's like that physical theater thing. I didn't know anybody else that did that stuff at that time. When I saw you the first time, it was probably maybe 80s, late 80s. And I can't even remember which. I remember there was a show with a percussionist that you did.
Yes, Maciek Sheba. Yeah.
Maciek, yeah, is that his name? He was a Polish guy or something, or a...
He was like, I got stories until midnight.
It's fine.
Maciek,
yeah,
he was a percussionist who had been trained in Poland, and he played with Penderecki, this classic percussionist orchestra, like world famous orchestra.
Yeah.
And he was trained on vibraphones.
yeah.
And then in the 80s, they played in England, and he wanted to get out of Poland because at the time it was an oppressive communist regime.
Of
So
course,
he jumped.
of course.
jumped ship.
So he got over the wall basically, but he went for tour.
He in South Africa. He came out to South Africa, and I met him because we were doing a show together at the market called Black and White Follies, and he was the drummer on that. And he and I just like connected, and he said, "Let's make a show."
My soul.
So I said, "Hey, we work it." So, and I was I'd been very lucky enough to, as a student, to work with Gary Gordon, and he had some knowledge of the whiteface classical, sort of point stuck in the box mind.
The French thing.
Exactly, taught me that shit. Structured, fine. So I said to Maciek, "Let's make a show. You play your percussion, and I do this mime, and we tell a story." And we made a show called No Easy Walk, which was like drawn from Mandela's book, which was banned at the time, but it wasn't like it was just a personal liberation. And on the tour, he would wake up at like 6 o'clock in the morning and start practicing, because he was a classically trained percussionist, but he wanted to be a jazz drummer. So he said, "If you don't practice 8 hours a day, you can just forget it, dude." So he would be practicing all the day. And after a couple of weeks on tour, I would say to him, "Geez, Maciek, it's noisy." And then he turned to me and he said, "Oh, so you're an actor?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, when do you practice?" I said, "Dude, I've got a degree, No, in fact, I've got a couple of awards as well, He said, "Well, dude," he said, "if you're an artist, there's a reason it's called a practice. You need to fucking practice." So he started me on that tour of waking up every day and spending at least 6-8 hours a day practicing, working voice, working body, working mime, working everything, writing, spending time doing writing. So from that time, my day was absolutely. The first thing he taught me to take myself seriously as an artist, and if you take yourself seriously as an artist, you put work in. So I started to work like that, and out of that came the Ugly Noo Noo, because someone said to me, "We've got a space. What the hell do we do? You've got 3 weeks. Can you make something?" I said, "No problem. We'll make something." And so from that time, the combination of that idea of constant, everyday, disciplined, doing scales, doing physical scales, vocal scales, was a way towards developing the kind of style of theater that. So,
it was crazy. I still remember him doing you were looking at your watch and you were and he was and I thought, that sounds just like the freaking time. It was like it was great. Yeah, it was so good, and also sort of at that time, my mom was bringing us to the festival. I was 80. When was that? 88. 80. I was a matric. Instead of 9. Somewhere around there. and my mom used to bring us up to festival, and it certainly worked because it ended up getting into theater and or comedy myself. But you know, just all those little things are they were really, it was groundbreaking at that time. I'd never seen anything like that, you know. And it was so good. So that was a bit of a path for you as well.
Absolutely, and certainly my training at Rhodes under Gary Gordon was very much about you're not going. There's no industry in South Africa for you to go and practice how to do an audition and hopefully go get the job. You get the fuck into yourself. You make work, and you make work that's good enough that people want to see. So everything is reliant on yourself. So from when I left, I knew I had to try and make work that nobody had seen before, that that would somehow create some kind of demand and an audience. So I was extremely fortunate to have teachers like that. So
gee, was he so right? And there's no like he's got the vision saying there's like no market. There's nothing out there. You've got to make it happen. And
exactly.
that's so true. Even now, it's so true. You there's nothing for an artist, for a young artist that's coming through the ranks. It's got to be entrepreneurial. There's nothing else, you know.
Yeah. And as I say, I was very fortunate, and at that time as well, from a political point of view, you were in a world where if you didn't have a message that made some sense to somebody, that impacted in some way towards what their life was like, and hopefully, my idea was that you do that through laughter, through joy. You know, if you can connect with people in that way and find that in a way that impacts on the way that they deal with the world, then you've got something, you know, and not just a career for yourself, but you've got something that where you feel like you've had some connection with the world. It was amazing.
Yeah, a contribution to make, isn't it? Because isn't it what is life about? It's about connection with people. Surely.
Yeah. Without
this whole this AI thing that's happening now. I mean, what's your take on AI? I mean, I know it's the go-to question at the moment, but it's for artists, it's just so much more poignant, you know, because we're on the front line.
So I'm not scared of AI. Those machines can't scare me. They are very, very clever. In fact, they're cleverer than me. Very, very clever. They can provide you answers like this, but they cannot. They are not able. They can draw on everything in the history of the universe, you know, in an instant. They are now extremely useful. It's a fantastic tool that can be used. But for one person to sit in a room with another person, even if it's one and one other person, that communication is you cannot replace that. So if you've got one person, storyteller, comedian, stand-up comic, whatever it is, with a group of other people around them, however many that is, 1, 2, 5, 500, that's irreplaceable. AI cannot do that. They cannot do that communication between one person and another. So that extends to live theater as well. So in fact, AI could make movies, could make the most brilliant movies.
Yes.
But they cannot replicate live theater.
Yeah.
So that seems to me, and also because at the core of live theater is this idea of empathy, that if I'm able to construct an idea or stimulate images which help you understand what it's like for a baboon in Simonstown to get removed away from that, we've got something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm also I've got the idea that people will seek out people. So I don't want to waste my time looking at AI shit that's been, you know, pasted and the thing. I want to search out for that muso or that thing. I want to go and find out and make sure it's real and make sure it's coming from a person before I even consider it.
Yeah.
And I hope that it's going to go back to like a village mentality where it's a village, and we'll develop accents again for, like in England where you've got a village that's 20 k's away, but they speak in a different accent.
Yeah. And I think we need to be more as versed as we can in digital language, so that we can discern. Okay, this is human, this is bot, whatever it is. We can determine that. But eventually, away from the screens, the only thing we really have is human time, face-to-face interaction with other human beings. That is our life-saving thing.
That's the core of what I suppose what you do as a theatre person, as a musician, as an artist. Is that
I love doing the film work. I absolutely just love it, and I watch artists create the most incredible work. This TV series, Adolescence, holy God, Stephen Graham, that guy, and that series is the best television I've seen. I don't know, in my life.
What's it called? I must have a look. What is that?
It's called Adolescence. It is a 4-part series. It is absolute genius. Each episode is one shot.
Okay.
The camera rolls from beginning to end, whole episode. There's not one.
It just goes.
So if in the performance, in the creating of it, they had a mistake in the middle, they had to go back to the beginning, shoot the whole thing again. It is absolutely brilliant television.
Okay.
But that's TV. It's different. Sitting in a room with other people face to face and saying, here's a story, you listening to me, I can see you, you can see me. Very different art form, if you like.
Okay, well, there's a couple of things here. I see, Davina, how's it? She's tuned in from Sussex in England. How's it, Davina? And there's, there we go. Ian Lee says he watched the Noo Noo many years ago. Amazing entertainer, special to watch live. Thank you, Ian. Ian's a pharmacy dude. Opera House in its heyday, he says there.
Okay.
Hey, the Opera House, we've Opera House has had a bit of a revamp. I see. I just hope it can last and it opens up so people can use it without having to lose an arm and a leg. That's also the problem with doing shows. I mean, it's a risky business, is it not?
Yeah, it is. Risky for audiences and performers as well. And more
you never know.
You never know, especially for you. I don't go into the pub world too much and have beer cans thrown at me if I'm boring. I step in front of them. I'm very clear to say, okay, it's not stand-up comedy. I'm not going to be funny. Don't hate me. Well, you stand up and say, I don't care if you hate me. I'm going to make you laugh. That's an amazing courage. It's amazing courage.
No, but I say, I mean, certainly you have been a major influence on what I do, because the way you approached your theatre. I mean, we're still in the kitchen. Philip and I will, when we open the cheese, we'll say cheese. I don't even know where that came from. Andrew, was that in the Noo Noo?
No, it was from a show called, in fact, if I can bring it out, it's from a show called Feedback, which is a play that I wrote in 1994, 95, and which I'm now rewriting for a company at the Baxter, which is going to be performing at the Baxter from about the 4th or 5th of August.
Fantastic. Okay.
The thing about, I suppose, I'm thinking about it as well, is that most of the principal operating factor of theatre is empathy. Is that your performance is that you're asking people to think what it's like to be the other person. What it's like to be in someone else's shoes. How does the world look from the other guy? And I thought, how does the world look to be if you were a piece of food? Because I was in It's stupid.
That's
I was in a-
fantastic.
I was in a supermarket, and I was walking past, and I heard the shelf packer say, ask the other guy, "How's this cheese doing?" And he says, "No, it's flying off the shelf." But that's pretty weird. They have the cheese flying. So the whole image of cheese with wings started to emerge. And then the whole question is, how does food feel about being eaten? And you think a food is being constructed in a factory or in a thing, whatever it is, its only purpose in the universe is to be eaten. That is what it wants. It doesn't want not to be eaten. It doesn't want to sit on the shelf and be fall to rot and that. So the whole thing was about let us be eaten. And more importantly, let us be eaten by people who are hungry, the poor. Let us get to the people who need to be eaten to eat us.
Eat us.
Evolution. So the cheese
Fantastic.
was very much about that idea of food wanting to try and find a way to find mouths that wanted to eat it.
Yeah, I'll never forget it. As long as I live, Andrew, every time I look at cheese, I think of you. Excellent feedback. There were so many shows at that time, and I mean, it's just been a plethora of stuff. And I believe that you've done a couple of movies as well now.
So no, I was very lucky to a couple of years ago to be worked by Capriso Ledwika to do a show called Catching Feelings. I played this fantastically disgusting guy, which is always delicious to play. But then, and it was quite amazing. In 2019, there's got. We made a movie called The Fragile King.
Okay.
Which is about a father who loses his daughter, and then he only learns from the death of his daughter that she had a child, 15-year-old, who's now responsible for it. So the whole play becomes a kind of road movie and the relationship between this old guy who's dying of emphysema and this little 15-year-old boy who's lost his mother. Beautiful film that shows on Amazon Prime. The Fragile King.
Okay.
Yeah. I was so lucky to be part of that.
So it's on Prime. Excellent.
It's on Prime. Yeah.
I'm going to have a check. I've got a couple of pictures here. What is this? Let's see.
So that is from a play called Firefly and the woman is an extraordinary performer called Sylvain Strike. So she and I made this play about. It's very difficult to describe what it's about, but it's based on a story where these two. It's way too complicated. Beautiful play. Sylvain is the most extraordinary performer and director and writer. She and I co-created this play called Firefly.
Okay, fantastic.
It's really about, I suppose, how do you work with love in a dysfunctional relationship? So it was about two different relationships. One was about a very oppressive woman and a very submissive guy, and the other was about this very oppressive guy and submissive woman, and the two submissives find each other in the middle and they find a relationship.
Lovely. That does sound like a happy ending, at least.
Well, they kind of drive each other. It's happy. The fishes are happy, not allowed to eat. So,
okay. And then here's the Noo Noo. I think Gary said that this poster, he seemed to remember somebody drew it for you guys back then.
Yeah. So the design of this poster was actually made by an extraordinary South African artist called Sarah Ballum. Now, when I met her, when we first made this, Sarah Ballum And I
Yeah,
bet you people who know about art know about her. She's absolutely brilliant artist. She took that poster because she was a student at the time, and I asked her to help me. And she, from a photograph, she made it like a pointillisque, whatever it is, pointy, little
yeah,
pricks, points to make that picture.
yeah.
And that was from, so we made that in like 1988, I think.
Wow.
And then I keep using that image because it's just
lovely.
it's sublime.
And it's original, you know?
And I have to say to Sarah, if you're watching this, sorry, but I keep using it and I don't give you any money.
Royalties. I'm sure she's happy to do it for another artist.
I hope so.
Yeah. And here we go.
Okay,
is this one also going to be at Baxter as well?
Yeah. So this is a shot from a show called Unruly, which is a most beautiful show, which I'm so attached to at the moment, because it's about the relationship between humans and baboons.
Okay.
And the way in which
the Simonstown thing.
Yeah, dude. The way and it's not only Simonstown, it's all along the coast in the deep south where people are encountering baboons, because all of that area is baboon territory. That's where they've been for thousands of years. And humans came in and built things, and then they built more and more and more. So they took more and more away of the natural environment for the baboons. So there's naturally going to be some encounter between humans and baboons. But they keep talking about human-baboon conflicts. But in fact, more and more of it is about human-human conflict about baboons. Because some people say, the baboons will have their place, and the other people are saying, what the fuck are the baboon doing? Robbing my fucking scare my kid. So this play, Unruly, which was developed through an extraordinary process of research that a group called Theatre does. Neil and Dylan, who run Theatre, spent years interviewing people, Simonstown, Komiki, all along that coast, to say, what has been your experience of your encounters with baboons? And out of those, they developed a series of a multitude of research material, of personal stories, And so Neil Coppin and Dylan and I sat down together, and that we started to work through and started to filter through and distill out of that kind of individual characters that started to emerge out of that. Then Neil went away from that and wrote a script, beautifully crafted theatrical script, which brings to light all of the different political and personal responses to the way in which humans respond to baboons in those areas. And it eventually ends up in this one-man show called Unruly, which is playing at the Baxter end of July into August. It
freaks. It's like the process is amazing. I mean, you say you all this research first, and then you say you distill these things, but that takes a special kind of focus to distill that information into something that's going to be an entertainment as such, something's going to entertain an audience and challenge an audience, maybe, So, I mean, that's a bunch of talented people there.
Look, I count myself extremely lucky to work with these people who have an understanding of the kind of connection between scientific facts, research, the kind of interaction with mythology and the way in which urban mythology works with it, and then to connect it, and then who understand what it means to create a kind of theatrical language. And then I interact with them as well, so that eventually you're creating something that an audience will sit and receive, but it's not about what the character is doing. Eventually, it's about what each of the members of the audience are going
thinking.
through. What's their own imagination? What's their own memory of baboons and so on. By the end, hopefully you come together to say, okay, it's too easy for me to say the answer is this. You just kill the baboons, or you remove them from Simon's Town, or you do this, you do that.
Yeah.
That you think, fuck, it's complex. We've got to. I'm
Yeah,
trying to understand what everyone's point of view is, what the baboon's point of view is, and to something that hopefully can allow people, for us all to take a line from the play, so we can all be a little bit less cut to each other.
Don't be a doers, yeah.
Don't be a doer.
It's so true. But that's amazing. So I look forward to. I've got to have a look at that. And you're not at Grahamstown this year, but are you thinking of doing it again, or?
No, but shit, you probably would have missed it. Sorry, my son Daniel has got a show there called Afro-Apocalypse, which is an extraordinary show developed with the Market Theatre Laboratory students. But I think the last show was this morning, so there's no real point in my talking about it.
No, I'm sure it could be on again.
It's my shine.
Listen, Gary Hemmings will be on to you, I'm sure, because we've got a little theatre that we're going to be doing at Bay West. Hopefully, it's in the throes. It looks like possibly September, so that'll be great. And if you're as close as NISDA, I think it's and back into the shows, I think you would, perhaps you should come and do a show.
I'm looking forward to any space in which I can make myself.
I'm also interested in find. So I mean, you made this decision to well, I suppose it's close to retirement now for the teaching. Where you make that decision, because often people will get stuck in in the teaching. You've got it. No, I mean we're all getting old, But for an artist, if you are teaching and you've got that salary coming in every month, it becomes like a safety net there, and it slows you until you have to have that chop to say, okay, get out there and go and do your thing again. Was it a situation like that or not?
No, it was more driven from my own need to. I just missed performing so much. I suppose, I don't know, is it my ego that just needed that audience? I don't know. I don't think so.
It's your need for love. It's your need for
love. I think love. It's just that you feel like it's your purpose, I feel like that's my purpose. I have such joy in that time on stage and that interaction with people. And I miss that. And I love teaching. And I think that I was a good teacher.
Yes. Well, certainly very well respected. Everybody that I've spoken to ever.
You thought I was a good actor. I'm a very good fake academic, where I can confuse people into thinking I'm a good teacher easily. But the classroom experiences I loved. I really loved that. And I think that I still do enjoy doing that, those encounters with people, and that I can learn from that. So I love doing that. But ultimately, the main thing, life source for me is to be on stage and interacting with an audience. So I'm still very lucky that I'm able to still keep doing that. So any opportunity I can do that, I will try and find.
Your favorite of that you've done. I mean, you're so many over the years, I know, and I suppose it changes from time to time as well. Anything that you really miss doing? I mean, like I said, you said feedback. Gee, I did see feedback, and that was like so many years ago. Those ones you must be proud of.
Yeah, I suppose. I love them. I don't. And there's a kind of stretch of them. It was when I left Grahamstown, to lift up a house where you've spent 30 years, and a big chunk of that has been, when you've been making work. So there's a whole lot of material shit, And right from when I started working, I spoke about Maciek. So when I started making Ugly Noo Noo, I never threw anything away. Any handwritten bits of text and that, scribbles, I'd keep
Hoarder.
them. Now, complete creative hoarder. So I've inspired like this. Each play on Bloodstream, on on feedback, on all those things. So I have this huge mass, boxes and boxes of stuff which if someone looked at it, they'd think, what the
Shit.
fuck is up with this guy? What is Morgan? I didn't hear. So I gave that to the library in Grahamstown as a kind of research material.
Okay. So you are a bit of a hoarder as naturally. Do you also got some? Is Janet also like you got to chuck this shit out?
Not anymore, because when we moved from Grahamstown, that was a hard thing. 30 years in the one house to kick all that stuff up and then move to this new house, and you have to decide what are you going to keep, what's important, what's not. Everyone in the world has been through this. So it's
because I think it's part of as an artist as well. There's an element of nostalgia. I love putting nostalgia into something. You have a throwback to something that people will remember. And it makes people feel warm inside.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like suddenly I did this a revival of the Ugly Noo Noo in Cape Town and Joburg last year.
Yes, and St. Francis here.
Yes, true. This year.
It was great.
And in Cape Town was like this, it had been, I don't know how many, 20, 30 years, 38 years since I've done it. And I never knew if people would remember it. And so I was astonished that people had held on to it as a thing. And they said, I saw this as a student. Now I'm bringing my grandchild to come and watch it. I think you've got old. But,
I know. And physically, isn't it hectic on you physically? I mean,
Well, the thing is, as you get older, you just get cleverer, So,
yes.
If I look at videos of when I did it, in the early days, I was frantic, to make it work. In 30 seconds, sweat was dropping. I was pumping it out and stopping and jumping and wow. So desperate to make it work,
Yeah.
Whereas now, you get to learn. Use the minimal amount of energy to make the same amount of impact. So your body tells you quite quickly, okay, you can't do this anymore. You can't do that anymore. Jumping. Find another way to make this joke.
Yeah.
So that's been a delightful discovery for me, I have to say.
Yeah, because I'm sure you've always kept pretty physically fit though throughout your life. I think it's probably stood you in good stead. What's your age at the moment?
I'm 71. But
71.
Yeah. But I was, I suppose, lucky. I was quite interested in sport, and then when I started studying, I was doing physical education, so I was always doing gymnastics. In fact, in the first year I was studying drama, I'd spend the morning in the gym with the Oak, and then an afternoon with the ballet studio with the girls. So it was like a seminal moment in my life when I took my first team rugby socks from school and I cut them into big warmers. So that combination.
Leg warmers.
Yeah. This is the 70s, guys.
Yeah. Well, early 80s at least, because I remember leg warmers. Was that Joan? What's her name? Jane Fonda
Jane
stuff.
Fonda. Yeah.
That's the one.
That combination of gymnastics and physical education and all that into physical into dance, into ballet and all that training, and I took that shit seriously. I did ballet
Yeah.
for for a long time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So the
yeah, yeah.
combination of those things was an amazing, physical technique to help you forward.
I remember there was a story that you told me once about because you've done you did a show where you had to get naked. Was it you? I'm sure it was you. Somebody was telling me it was a case of like you get on the stage and you say, oh well, I'm gonna be if I'm gonna get naked now, but we just hope that it's gonna look okay, you know. but all your private parts all of a sudden want to hide away. I'm sure it was you that told me that story. I can't remember.
Well, it could have been. I mean, the only time that I remember having to be naked in a theatrical performance was in a show called The Inconvenience of Wings by Laura Foote. And it starts off with this old guy who's the play works in reverse time. So you start now, you're backward in time. So
yes,
at the beginning of the play, you meet the character when he starts. At the end of the play, he's old and in an old age home, and he's standing there. So the curtain goes up, and then he's standing there naked, and he starts to dress himself the wrong way, and you can see the guy's suffering from dementia. But the first image is of the old guy standing there naked, and it's really the first time that I had to do that. But you do. Stand there and think, the first thing that anybody's mind is going, how big is his dick?
it's like it's going, I'm not coming out.
What the hell?
Coming out.
Yeah. I had to resist the temptation backstage to go, okay.
Let it out. I think I'm sure it was you telling me that. That was so funny. No.
But the thing is, that character, the reason why the play starts with him like that is because it's the most undeniable image of vulnerability. This old guy who's standing with his stomach out, his little tortilla in there, like a little ice cream, four little ballets sitting there, all ashamed of themselves, It's that.
We spoke before.
To see.
Yes, it's the vulnerability, and it's I was talking to somebody the other night as well, and I spoke to you earlier about it that it's one thing that you taught me. It's I always say that yourself, Epi, and Aaron McElroy, is that you've got to put yourself out there. Is that the secret? Because it certainly feels like it to me.
I suppose so. Is that you as a theatre artist, as a performing artist, if there's anything that you're putting out there that's inauthentic, that's trying to protect you from the way people see you, it's just people are going to see through it for us.
That's exactly
If they don't, then it's going to crumble sometime and it's bullshit. So your first task is to find a way to expose yourself enough to put yourself in front of people, to have the courage to do that and allow people to see that, and then to be there and be okay with what they think, because some people are going to hate you, and that's, that's their right, whatever. But it's the courage to be able to find that vulnerability, and that's a long process. You can speak to students about that as a process, but you start working on that, but that is your target, to try and work towards it, enough vulnerability so that people can recognize themselves in your own vulnerability, in your own pain.
They need to see themselves. It's so right, and I mean, I think it's a good life lesson because people are even in social situations, people are so scared of being vulnerable, and that's the only way you're authentic is by being yourself, And So future wise now, I mean, is Janet still doing a whole lot of stuff as well? She's busy. I mean, whenever I see a thing at the Baxter, it's Janet Buckland. Whenever I go past it, I see the sign up that's Janet Buckland. So she must be still doing.
No, she's not doing a lot of work in terms of performance. She directs my work.
Directing, directing.
Otherwise, she teaches Pilates. She teaches the most pristine Pilates. She taught online. In fact, during COVID, we developed a whole studio at home in Grahamstown, and that then developed into a full-time kind of performance. And now, since we've moved to Neisner, now that's been reduced to an online studio. So she's very much activated in that.
That's great. I've been doing a bit of Pilates myself, you know, to try and keep fit and.
Tell me about your core, brother.
It's much better. It's so much better. Yeah. No. It's all those strength things, you know. Your ankles and your knees and your things, keeping your balance, and it's and it's not like it's an easy thing either. Okay.
No.
It's really sweet.
No. It's people do talk. I mean, they even name it as Pilates, you know.
Yes.
But at one stage when we were in Grahamstown and I was at home, you know, in between jobs, I would be demonstrating. So I would do 11 classes of Pilates a week. So Janet would be teaching, and I would be the sort of model to show how the exercise should look like. It is the most brilliant technique for developing strength, core, the way in which the body can coordinate with all aspects of itself. That you're not just pumping up muscles, but you understanding, developing and understanding how the body works. It's absolutely brilliant. And she is the best teacher I've ever.
Good in the world. No, you know. No, it's definitely it's a strength thing. I mean, look, I'm about as flexible as a flippin' 2x4 plank. Philip is saying plank here, so she's right. My hammies are so short. I'm surprised I can even walk. But you know, it certainly helps. So the whole thing certainly helps. You know, and with the back and the thing, and all of a sudden you can move better, and you can jump, and you can do things. Yes. She says I have to do it more than once a month. She's telling me.
I'm with. I'm doing it every day, dude. How old are you?
I'm 55. 55. My some of my RAs come through this year.
A mere puppy, guy. Get into Pilates because you won't get to how old I am unless you do.
I know. And you're looking so damn good. Jeez, like. So, I mean, at 71, that's fantastic. And that means another 20 years in you.
I can hope so, dude.
Yeah, for sure. So looking forward for yourself. Anything that you still want to do? Any bucket list stuff that you still want to do?
You know, I've also, I suppose, settled into my time where I've had the most amazing period, where I've had the most amazing work come towards me. You know, I've been working with the Handspring Puppet Company, with the Baxter on a show called Michael K. I work on this show with Amphitheatre on Unruly. I don't have this desperate need where I think, fuck, I must write the new play about the new in the world. What am I going to do about Palestine? Or what am I going to do about Trump? I don't have that thing anymore. I'm much more able to say, okay, let me work with what's going on. And I've had this. I have these amazing relationships with people like the people like that have made Michael K. and have made Unruly.
Well, Handspring, that was Grahamstown as well. Was it not Grahamstown as well? The Handspring Puppet Company. I can't remember now.
I'm not sure that they're there this year. They might have done, but they're
in the past.
In the past, they're often there. Often.
Yeah.
But they're all over the world now, and you know, luckily I've been able to travel with them. We've done.
Wow.
We went to China. We went to
Wow.
Germany. We went to America, New York. We had a New York season.
Jeez, like no, I
Amazing.
mean, your listen, and your career reads. It's you know it reads. It's so long with so many things. I mean, we can't even touch on even a pinprick of the stuff that you've done. It's absolutely amazing the body of work that you've got through. You know, like you say, maybe it was you were listening to a drummer. That's why, to tell you to work 7 hours a day.
Dude. When I met you as well, I thought, okay, here's another guy who understands what it means to go. No, wrong. Do it again.
Yeah.
Paradiddles.
Put in the hours. Yeah, you're right. And you hone that craft. But and your very next project, what is next? What is coming up now? So it's Baxter in Cape Town.
Yeah. So in July we've got a season of Unruly, which is an extraordinary play about the baboons in the South Cape, and it's very. You know, as I described it before, it's not just it's a play. It's more a kind of theatre event that's about trying to get people to understand what's the interaction between humans and baboons. And at the same time, I'm rehearsing a version of Feedback, which is about how people relate to food and how food is an element in people's lives now. But that's now reworked it as a production for a four-hander for the Baxter company. So that'll be me.
Okay, that's fantastic. And just a few things about your personality. Are you? Would you say you consider yourself an ADD kind of person, or you focused kind of guy?
ADD.
Yeah, like sort of one idea leads to the next, or can you focus properly? What are have you got techniques that you use or anything like that?
No, it varies from time to time. I think if I set in certain times when there's creative time, I've got to write or I've got to do this or that, then that can be that. But generally, I mean, certainly recently, most of my time is focused on my dogs and trying to keep them.
The Weimaraner and
two Weimaranas.
Oh, two Weimaraners. You got two. I was saying I speak to my dogs in accents. So I've got a collie who's a Scottish guy, and then I talk to him in a Scottish accent like that. And he's always wants a ball and a stick, you know. So it's always something going on. And then the Weimaraner is always German for this looking for food all the time.
Exactly. It's not a food, it's a ball. Don't give me food, it's in a ball.
It's a ball as well. And walking. Must walk 20 times a day.
One walk a day. Why can't we do two? What the fuck?
Andrew.
It engages one's whole life.
It does, hey? It does. They know how it's thousands and millions of years of evolution.
Co-evolution.
Yes. Co-evolution. Yes. Getting more and closer together. And then they end up costing you a fortune before they die, and then they die and they kill you as well. You know?
What?
They just I was saying they're
dogs. Die. What?
I don't want to put it down, but they just don't live as long as us. You know, it's just a fact. It's terrible. Mind you, at 71, it depends how old your dogs are, Andrew.
A few dogs die as well, I've got to tell you.
No. It's hectic. But Andrew, thank you so much, man, for coming on the show. I've actually got before I say goodbye, I'm just going to play a quick a clip of it, because next week we've got the guy that's coming on for our it's the supporters. We got the Italy versus the Springboks coming
Sorry,
week.
Italy, you're gonna get killed.
Why? Why are you going to say this now to
But
me?
it's the truth. It's the truth.
Okay, I'm going to play this and then we'll say goodbye. Hang on.
Okay, the Bra Army is in for the rugby. We're going to be on Gino's spot on Tuesday. So if you want to hear what the Bra Army is going to be doing for the rugby here in Kleberge, then definitely watch us on Gino's spot. Okay, Kleberge, see you guys soon. Major race place out.
Major race place. That's our guest next week, you know. But Andrew, thank you so much for coming online. It's been fantastic
really
to have you.
man.
And to see you. It's been 30 years. It definitely won't be another 30 years. We're going to get together and say how's it. And also, I see we might have a few more comments here. Let's have a squiz here. Debbie, she's a crit, you know, down in Cape Town. She writes for some stuff. I've been such a fan. Recited lines from Firefly for months after seeing the performance. And
Big favorite. Extraordinary show today.
Excellent. Well, I'm hoping to see more of you, Andrew. Now that you've got you've put aside extra time to do more shows, I'm so pleased. And we'll see you up in Kleberge. Thanks, Andrew. Cheers, man.
Yes, man. Thank you.
And I'm going to end it off right now. Cheers. And we'll see you all next week for Gino's spot where we're looking at their major race place. He's in there. Cheers.